Hi guys, welcome to another trade recap on GBPJPY. So on this trade recap, I'm going to go through the trades I took this week. Actually had 3 losing trades this week, but ended up having a win to close up the week. So I'm going to be breaking down everything. So the first trade that we had was Monday, right? So I'm going to be explaining what caused the losing streak, the mistakes I made, the market structure on GBPJPY, and then the setups that brought the comeback. Remember, consistency isn't about never losing. It's about how you respond to losses. So yeah, that's that on this note. So considering on the higher time frame, we're kind of like in an uptrend on GBPJPY, right? So I took that momentum, and yeah, you can see there's actually, I do kind of have like a buy setup for the week. So we'll see how that goes. Considering this huge bullish candle on the daily, this was actually the winning trades. But yeah, moved to the losing trade. So had this, as you can see, I had marked out key levels for price to come into. This was the first zone right here. I think there was like yeah, a kind of like a demand level. Was this the first trade? There was this, yep, there was kind of like a demand level right about here. So I think there was one lower. The 30 minutes explains everything clearer, because I know I took the trade on the 30 minutes. That's where I got in. Yeah, right up at this. So this gave me a fake out. This was an obvious fake out because price was actually kind of dumping. Like, and it happened like GPP daylight shift was actually last week on Sunday. So this shit kind of happened, and yeah, price just started pulling down, and there was actually the supply level that, because like probably price could, probably could like get a buy from here back to this like shit, back to this supply level right here, because you can technically see an order block and a pretty good liquidity right here, and this was also previous support level, which it actually broke through on the 30 minutes. But yeah, I was kind of like focusing on the high time frame, and considering I normally hold trades for a while. So yeah, this was actually the trade. Stops here beneath this level. Somewhere around here, yep. Yeah, stops were right here. What's going on? Yeah, she's going on right now. Okay, thank God. Anyways, that aside, stops were beneath this level right here. I just did shit. And got stopped out on the first trade for Monday. Then Tuesday, I think we kind of had like the same problem. Right, Tuesday you could actually see there was a huge bullish move to the upside, right? and you could actually see this liquidity was taken out. This liquidity was taken out beautifully clean. It was taken out perfectly, everything looking good. So I got in right here. Hope this shit ain't gonna fuck with me. I got in right here. Stops were not this high. So this was where the stop loss was. Nah, stop loss was even lower, beneath this demand level. And it's kind of targeting very high. Yeah, like back to this level where it took me out. So back to this area. That was where I was kind of targeting. And you can see there was a liquidity sweep. Beautiful liquidity sweep. Probably scale over to a lower time frame. What time is this? Right. So lower time frame. This was the fair value gap right here. Sort of. Yeah, now that I'm seeing it though. Yeah. Anyways, this was the fair value gap right here. It was kind of respecting this bearish order block plus supply level, but I didn't hold it for too long. Why? Because there was no obvious break of structure, right? And price could have actually gone above, and that was what I was actually waiting for price to go above it, to close above it and give a full closure to confirm. But then, yeah, out of nowhere, bang, straight for SL. So this was Tuesday's trade. Then we moved to Wednesday's trade. Didn't actually analyze for Wednesday. I was just kind of like, okay, cool. Now, notice the pattern that this kind of like played out. You see this area, right? You see this area right here. Notice the pattern. And then look at this right here. They look similar, don't they? They look similar, right? You can see there was a huge move to the upside. Then price came back down, took out the impulsive move. Liquidity. Then looked like it started rallying and then all of a sudden went back down. Now, look at this. Considering this was what happened and then this was the same thing that happened and then we're like in a downtrend. So I decided to follow the trend. And guess what happened? That's right. Got stopped out. So I think I got in with a few positions like right here. Got in with a few positions right here. Never even saw profit for like once. All I saw was pure on red. Straight up. And yes, stops were right here. Never saw profit on this sell setup. Like, didn't see shit. Can't even lie, man. This is just straight on red. Like, immediately I got in, it just started pumping. But you could actually see the pattern that, oh, they're supposed to be like, it's supposed to continue dumping, right? Because you respected this level, which was like a supply level. But nah, nigga didn't give a fuck. It just moved. So this were the three trades: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That all ended in a loss. So now we move to Thursday and Friday, which was a bank holiday. And market wasn't really giving anything good. So yeah, considering we already pushed to the upside and it broke above this level that it has been reacting off, I said okay, we're probably back in a buy, back to the uptrend, back to pushing higher, right? So market actually created like a fair value gap on the 1 hour, and yeah, I got in this week limit entries, 3 positions this time around. So I got in here. Actually thought of taking my entries a little bit lower, but you know, this is GBPJPY. Anything can happen. You may not even get activated because it's limit entries. Yeah, because it's limit entries. There are times where it can come to your limit and it doesn't activate. So yeah, this was the trade for Thursday and Friday. Because yeah, got in Thursday morning, right? So it took a while, choppy ass market action. And I got out on Friday because it wasn't really giving out it did much, and immediately I closed the position for Friday. This happened, came back to the entry, and yeah. So why I got in on this trade on Friday was because of the huge impulsive move to the upside, and if you scale to the line, you can see there was a break of structure above these highs, these previous highs right here. There was a break of structure above it, and I was actually, you can see this previous what's it called, supply area became a demand level or demand area. So this was where entry was targeting on the demand level and above the break of structure that happened, indicating okay, we might be pushing higher now. Price did retest, considering it was the limit, and it might have not come back to this level. So I just went with what I had. If I was going to get stopped out, I was going to get stopped out. If I was not going to make anything in the week, I wasn't going to make anything in the week. So I just had to place the limit as it was. So yeah, we were able to get this, and it came back for this, back into the demand level, and then reacted. I was already in on this, but the reaction gave me like a solid confirmation that okay, we might back up. But you can see instantly it rejected and pulled back down. But then this huge bullish engulfing gave me more momentum that okay, we're back on track. We're back on track, we could push higher. And yeah, that was just it. I just left the trade and closed in profit. Pretty much it. So still actually bullish on GBPJPY because if you scale to the weekly, you can see the dump actually took out some pretty good liquidity. The dump from last week took out some pretty good liquidity. Took out this liquidity, took out this liquidity, took out this liquidity, took out this liquidity. And actually this was where we started getting our buys in March. So took out all of March's liquidity. Not all, actually, there's still this one right here. Hopefully it doesn't get to that. But if it does, you get more more buy power. So yeah, took out all those liquidities, right? So I'm actually targeting price to come back to this, where this candle's at. The red candle, that's where my TP is going to be from where currently is. Probably first take profit, then second take profit will be here. Am I a little bit ambitious to target this week? We'll see what happens. So yeah, bullish on GBPJPY for the week. We'll just wait for more confirmation later on. So yeah, that's the trade recap on GBPJPY. And the funny thing is, considering I was focusing on GJ last week, I didn't trade UJ at all, and it provided a really good setup, like a really good one. That I'm not even gonna lie about. Okay, this was not the one we made the analysis on. Fuck. Nope. Sorry. What the fuck? Is this on the red list? Right. So you could actually see where we caught a buy the last time we traded USD and it made a bullish move. You could actually see it came back down for it last week, and I didn't pay attention to it because the same Wednesday this shit happened. Well, kind of early though, but we've gotten in on at like 12 p.m. and the whole trade for the week. Don't give a shit because you can see this is where we caught a pretty good buy the last time, and price just went on to TP, came back again. Would have closed on Friday actually because Friday wasn't giving anything good, but probably off of this on Thursday. So yeah, on USDJPY I'm actually bearish considering it's heading to this level, so we'll see how it reacts. Breaks structure, getting on shorts. So yeah, that's all for this week's trade recap. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys on the next one. Peace.